It's time to turn this 180-gallon South American cichlid tank from boring and ugly to irresistible, using this branch I found down by the river. I think this is gonna look great. This project, frankly, may be too much for me, but we'll find out. Here we go. Let me start off by saying that I do like the fish in this tank. Right now, it's several different types of veilfin angelfish, 7 red-headed tapajos cichlids, a jurapari, and a few autosyncluses. And I would like to add a little variety to this mix at some point as well. And if you have some other suggestions, let me know in the comments. What I don't like about this tank is how, besides the fish, there's nothing of interest besides those standing logs from Aqua Decor. Boring. I used to think that was plenty, but not anymore. And I bet y'all feel the same way too. I think even the fish feel that way. They're always hanging out on this end of the tank so they can see the kitchen, which is super messy because my daughter's moving out. In fact, when I'm not making videos, I'm usually standing in front of the fridge as well, so I completely understand. Okay, so I've broken this down into 5 different steps. Hopefully this will go smoothly. The first thing I'm gonna do is get everything out of the tank except for my sand. And that means my fish are gonna go into this temporary ghetto home that I've made for them. Nice. Second, I'm gonna get my branch ready. So I'm gonna attach all the plants and moss that I need to it and just get it ready to go in the tank. Third, I'm gonna put it in the tank and then add some logs back hopefully, and maybe some other decor like some rocks. 4, I'm just gonna fill the tank back up and treat the water. And finally, I'm gonna switch out my Fluval Sea Marine 3.0 4-foot strip light to these awesome AI prime lights. And the reason I love these so much is because first of all, they're full spectrum. But second, I love that they're above the tank. And so they're going to shine down and create a shimmer that's going to be inside the tank and then on the wall around. All right, kind of nervous about this, but let's get going. This jacuzzi is filled with water directly from the tank, so the water parameters are exactly what they're used to. Don't need to add any more stress than necessary. It's equipped with a bubbling air stone for surface agitation and a heater. And don't forget the controller for the heater. If you love your fish, you have one of these. It's as simple as that. I'd love to take these standing logs out of the tank after the fish have been caught to reduce stress, but my superhuman fish catching skills are sadly more human than super. It'll be much easier to catch them without these in the way. By the way, notice how all the angels are like, "We're gonna die!" While all the red-headed tapajos are more like, "Hey pal, you gonna eat that? All right then, I'll get it." My unbelievably unflappable geos. I'm not catching the fish yet. I'm gonna drain the water down because it's a lot easier to catch them when there's only a little bit of water in the tank.
Everyone knows that.
You will subscribe. Ding ding.
Stress is the #1 killer of fish, and right now my fish are stressed, and I want to keep that stress level down as far as I can. So I'm going to keep the water level about where it is and not drop it any further unless I absolutely have to. I'll start with the angelfish. If I catch a geo in the meantime, that's cool, but I'm going to keep an eye on them, make sure that they're doing okay. I don't want to lose any fish in this move. I'm not rushing this to keep them as mellow as I can. Nice and easy. Oh, and remember, I have an acrylic tank, so if I press this net up against the panel...
Oh, it's all scratched up. How did that happen?
Once I started catching those fish, by the way, I noticed that there was something that smelled like fire coming from the inside of my tank. And I remembered, oh crap, I forgot to unplug those heaters.
Dumb.
So there was only about a quarter of the heater submerged in water. The rest of it was in the open air with it on. And so that is a bad situation. You can end up with a shattered heater and glass everywhere, mercury, and that's not gonna be fun to clean up. That's kind of a testament to these Eheim heaters because I've done this before actually and never had one shatter. I'm not saying they won't ever shatter, but I'm glad to know that I have these heaters. So now I left enough water in the tank to cover most of the sand, and that'll help preserve the bacteria that's on that sand, because that's harboring a lot of beneficial bacteria. I'm gonna go get the new bags and add the sand without having cleaned it first. And that's the first time I've ever done this, but I'm relying on AQUACLEAR, which I used for my Pisto tank, to clear up the water in a day or so. And we'll see how that goes. So I'm gonna go get the sand.
Allow me to thrill you with this scene where I add sand, which will help me to get a somewhat sloped scape, with more sand toward the back of the tank. It's all part of the plan. I moved the old sand to the front of the tank and I'm adding the new sand behind it. Then I'll spread the same old stuff over the top of the new stuff, keeping that beneficial bacteria on top as much as possible. I'm a freaking genius here.
No, you're not.
Now for the moment of truth. I measured this branch and I've held it up in the front of the tank on the outside to see if it looks like it'll fit, but I haven't had it inside the tank. So I don't even know if it'll fit inside the openings. I've measured, but you know, it's an oddly shaped branch. We'll see if it does. If it doesn't, I'm screwed.
I'm more worried about this thing slipping and putting a big ass scratch on the front panel. One false move and that's a scratch I'll never overlook. I love this and it fits great, except for this front branch. It's too long and it pushes the entire thing too far back away from the center. I really don't want to remove it to cut it off either. What can I use? I know, I'll just lop it off with these. Dang it! That's not working. Now I'm gonna have to remove it and saw it off. And I'll save you the time and misery of watching me take this out and put it all back in. And voila! The branch is cut and it fits wonderfully. And it looks awesome, dude.
Kind of. Let me just say that this is turning out way better than I thought it would. I thought it'd be too cramped or it'd be too tall or something, and I did have to cut that one branch off, but once I did that, it's perfect. So now I just need to figure out where I'm gonna put the extra rocks and the standing logs that I took out. I'll put a few of those back in. And I don't want this video to be too long, so I'm just gonna do that and mess around so you don't have to watch my indecision, and I'll show you what I came up with.
These folks are still fine in their home away from home? Now it's time to glue this baby down to some rocks. And after my miserable failure super gluing driftwood to rocks in my Pisto tank, I'm gonna try something new. I'll be putting one of these cotton pads between the wood and the rock, then soaking it with this clear liquid super glue, not the gel. And that should help it stick better. Well, I'm hoping anyway. I really don't want this huge chunk of wood breaking free and wreaking havoc in my tank. This end will definitely need some glue. I'm really soaking this pad, which will not only help it stick to the wood and rock, but it will solidify the cotton pad, making it a more permanent connection.
Sure about that?
Just throwing some sand on the joint to help conceal it. I'm holding this down for about 30 seconds or so, but please don't follow my lead because bad things are about to happen. This branch I wound up cutting short could use something to hold it down too. And I also did the same thing at the other end of the branch, but my assistant failed to catch that on video.
Well, now I kind of wish I'd time-lapsed that. I mean, the whole thing took about 2.5 hours, and most of it was me trying to glue the rocks to the driftwood, which I thought would be a lot easier if I'm using that cotton pad, but still takes a long time for it to cure before I can let go, and I didn't really give it enough time. Anyway, I was able to get way more of those standing logs in than I thought I would. Maybe you think it looks a little too crowded. Let me know what your opinion is on that. It's kind of hard to see right now because I have the windows in the back wall of the house that are casting reflection all over the tank, but wait till tonight. I think it's gonna look pretty good. Right now I'm just gonna get the plants attached and I'm just gonna glue those on with this super glue gel, and I just have Java ferns, various forms of Java ferns, and Anubias. I'm not doing any stem plants.
Here are some key areas I know for certain I would like clumps of plants attached. Some Java moss would look great here and here. The window glare was just too much for me to capture a plant-by-plant install, unfortunately, so check out this award-winning aerial view of what I've done so far. Since this is taking forever, I'm spritzing down all the plants quite frequently to keep them from drying out and dying before I have a chance to kill them properly. Death by black thumb.
Prepare to be murdered.
Just to give you an idea, I've been at this for about 5.5 hours now. The only thing I have left is the moss. And I'm afraid I might run out of glue, so I don't know what I'm gonna do if I run out of glue, because I can't go anywhere because I have to keep spritzing the plants or they'll dry out. In that case, I'll probably have to just drain the tank later if I run out of glue and attach it another time, but hopefully it doesn't come to that. Woo-wee! Can't believe it's only been 7 hours since I started this morning. That's right, folks, 7 hours. What I'm gonna do is use my Python hose with the CCH Ultra Zero pump and get the water in the tank, and then we'll get those fish back in. They're doing great, by the way. I mean, real champs there. Looking forward to getting them back in, and I'll probably show you the tank next without the pump in it and everything after it gets dark, so you can see without all these nasty reflections in it. But let's get this thing filled up. We're getting to the moment of truth here, where did you see my Pisto tank setup? If you did, then you probably remember that there's a point where my driftwood just broke free from the rocks and bobbed up to the top. Well, that's what I'm hoping doesn't happen with this one. This is a lot bigger piece of driftwood, and it's gonna be a pain to make sure that this thing doesn't float if I don't already have it sealed down properly. Well, let's see. So my nightmare happened. The driftwood started floating on one end and then the other end started floating. I had to go grab a couple of bigger rocks and put them on top of the driftwood to weight it down. And that'll help it for now until it absorbs enough water and releases enough air that it isn't buoyant anymore. Hopefully this looks okay, and I did have to kind of smash a couple of plants and some moss to do this. All right, now that the tank's filled up, I have some other things to do, but let me tell you, that driftwood problem was a nightmare. I had to keep adding rocks that would fall off and go get more rocks. I'm the only one here, so I can't hold the driftwood down and add more rocks to it. I have to go get more rocks and then add them to it. I know what my problem was too. I didn't have enough contact points for that glue on the rock to hold to the wood. Anyway, learning experience. Like I said before, I'm not a pro, I'm just a crazy guy who likes crazy fish. The next thing I have to do is get those fish back in the tank, and then also I'm gonna take that filter, my FX6, over to my counter, open it up, add some filter floss, because I don't have any right now, and then I'm gonna add my water treatments directly to that filter while I have it open. Okay, took out the first little tray here. It has my coarse foam. First thing I want to do is add some of this polyfill to help catch all the particles that I'm going to be catching here shortly. Put this back on top. That way it's easy to get to if I need to change it. I'm going to put some Purigen in here, which I usually don't use, but I'm going to use in this case because whenever I have a piece of wood that can release tannins and make the water brown, I don't really like that, so the Purigen will definitely help keep the water nice and clear. And let's see where I can put that Purigen. It's supposed to be the last thing, the chemical filtration is supposed to be the last thing that your water and your filter is gonna see. In this case, I'm gonna put it next to last. Now I'm gonna put my concoctions in. And the first one is stability, and that's gonna make sure I have a nice kickstart to my biological filtration, my beneficial bacteria. And I'm gonna need 18 capfuls for this. Now that I have that, I'm gonna put AQUACLEAR in, which is a miracle worker. So this is what's going to, this is why I'm putting the polyfill in basically. What this is going to do is cause all those minute particles that are super tiny that will go through the polyfill. It's gonna help them clump together and they're gonna get larger, which seems like a bad thing, but it isn't, because then it'll allow my filtration to catch them and make the water more clear. So for this, I'm gonna need almost 4 capfuls. All right, and lastly, I'm gonna do some leaf zone. Don't even know if I need this with my low maintenance plants, but I'm gonna go ahead and add some anyway. It's been a long day. Started at 4:40 or 4:50 this morning, and right now we're looking at 2:40 in the afternoon. So that's it for tonight, but the first thing I'm gonna do in the morning after that AQUACLEAR has had time to work, I'm gonna turn on the light in the aquarium and show you what the fish look like. After that, I'm gonna go ahead and get those lights set up, my 2 AI primes that I'm really excited about. All right, I'll see you tomorrow.
All right, it's morning. I am so excited. Let me tell you first of all that AQUACLEAR that I put in, I think it was around 3 o'clock in the afternoon. It was crystal clear by about 8 o'clock at night. Maybe even before then, because I was gone and came back and it was already crystal clear. Incredible stuff. So if you ever need to get your tank crystal clear in a hurry, bam, that's it. Now, secondly, I'm standing in front of the tank so you can't see it on purpose, because I want to get those AI primes hooked up. What I'm going to do is show you the light with those, and then I'm going to show you the light with the strip light that I have on there now, so you can compare. So pay attention, because I do want your opinion. I value it very highly. All right, here we go. I'm gonna get those lights hooked up.
Here's what it used to look like, but what does it look like now? Pause for effect.
And here she is. Look at that driftwood, and it's so nice to have some green in there now. This may not be your cup of tea, but I was blown away once I saw those lights shine down from the heavens. Or 12 inches above the lid, I mean. I'm loving the branch, and I think those standing logs are really important in adding that special something. If they weren't in there, I don't think it'd have the same impact. It'd be cool if I had some stem plants in there for variety, but they'd all be dead in a week. This is a low-tech planted tank designed to thwart efforts of a plant killer. And you know what? My angels and geos seem a lot happier with this too. I was really happy to see them spreading out more instead of always watching the refrigerator constantly. But they do still watch it a lot. I mean, who wouldn't? There be food in there. And notice that shimmer I'm in love with. It's more prevalent on the left side of the tank because that's where the surface agitation mostly is. Love those AI prime lights. I can't remember if I said this, but I do like to have some vignette on the edges of the tank, a little bit of darkness to wrap the light. That's why I only have 2 of these primes when the tank size like this should really have 3. Ready to see what the tank used to look like with the strip light? Take a look and tell me what you think. Full disclosure here, the camera does alter the appearance of both lights a bit, but just going off what you can see here, what do you think? Notice much of a difference?
Well, there you have it. Let me know how you like the tank. Let me know how you like the light setup and which one's your favorite. And also let me know if you have a favorite light of your own that I'm not using. As always, thanks for watching, and I'll catch you next time.